Welcome to the Dose of Izzy Talk Show. I'm your host, Izzy Davis, fascinated by all things health, wellness, mindfulness, spirituality, and anything that can deepen our experience as human beings and make us better people. Today, we have a very interesting special guest. Her name is Alisa Abdullaeva. Now, some of you may not agree with her views, but I want this to be known that my purpose of starting this podcast is the practice of being able to listen and understand others without necessarily changing my own views or adopting their views. But I highly enjoyed this conversation. Alisa is an expert in the masculine and feminine energies. A few years ago, when I was struggling in my relationship, somebody recommended that I try to get my ex-boyfriend to read a book called From the Core. And this is a book to help men understand their masculine role or their masculine talents. And of course, I could not get my partner to read the book, but I myself read the book. And then I went down a rabbit hole of learning about masculine energy. But I didn't find that there were any good resources or experts on feminine energy. And then I found Alisa. So without further ado, enjoy this episode. So, what did you do today?
Hi. All right. When I wake up, we have a routine with my husband where we 15 minutes actually cuddle. This is how we start our morning. 15 minutes cuddling.
Do you set a timer?
No. I wake up and we just do our cuddling.
Is he still asleep?
He's still asleep because I wake up first. He used to wake up with me to do my routine, but now it's only on the weekends.
Okay.
So I just cuddle with him. He hugs me, he holds me, and then I start my morning routine,
That's
which
amazing.
is, yes, and I love that. It's like, okay, the bonding is already there.
Yeah.
And then I do my meditation, 45-minute meditation.
45 minutes.
Yes, I used to do actually an hour and a half, but now I decreased. But I started again with 5 minutes 10 years ago, and then 10, 15. And then I got to hour and a half. Now I kind of decreased to 45 minutes because again, I have such a intensive routine.
Yeah.
Then I go for a run, but I run very slow. It's like you probably will be walking fast and I'll be running very, very slow. I'm not really an athlete. But the reason why I run is because when I come home, I get into the cold bath.
Ooh.
Yes, and cold bath, I've learned many, many years ago from a spiritual yogi monk. It helps to clean 5 psychic cylinders.
Wow.
And each cylinder represents different emotional, psychological, physiological pains. And on the 5th, that's where our emotions and feelings are. And so if you're interested, I can go over these 5 different psychic cylinders.
Sure.
But my goal is, okay, then let me do that. The first one is represents your thoughts. So you're not going to have any negative thoughts throughout the day. You're cleansing them out. As you are laying down in the cold water up to your
And
neck.
is this in your bathtub or
In
do
the
you have a
bathtub.
cold plunge?
No, I have a bathtub, but if again, like next month I will be in Turkey, I'll be doing it in the Mediterranean Sea because it's going to be cold.
Lovely.
If we go to waterfalls in the river, I will do it in the river.
Yeah.
It's ideal. But right now, I will do it in the bath.
Okay.
And so first 3-4 minutes, you get shivers, you're uncomfortable, but you're cleansing your negative thoughts.
Yeah.
The second layer, after 3-4 minutes, it kicks in. You're cleansing all of your allergies if you have, or maybe minor pains and things like that. Inflammations. The third is responsible for your liver, kidney, stomach, and things like that, all your organs, and chronic pains in your back, knees, and etc. The fourth layer is cleansing your tumors that are not cancerous, and the fifth is could be cancer, could be, and definitely all of your emotions like anxiety, depression, feeling of insecurity, low self-esteem. But to get to that fifth layer, it takes 18 to 20 minutes in the cold water. So my husband doesn't like to do that.
And do you put ice in your bathtub?
No,
it's just the cold from the tap.
water.
Okay.
Yes. And you cannot move. You gotta be in a still position for 20 minutes. And when you feel after 4, 5, or 10 minutes really cold and uncomfortable, maybe you have a pain in your knees, that means the knees are getting healed in that moment. If you have, I used to have arthritis last year, and I actually healed it with this cold water, and that's why I continue doing it. So on the 12 minutes, my wrist would hurt really bad.
Yeah.
After 18 minutes, I usually had my lower back. And so you just surrender to the pain and this cold and shiverness, and after 45 seconds, it goes away.
Okay.
And so
we meditated, we ran,
yes.
we cold bathed.
Yes, so your body have to be hot so you can get into the cold water.
Yes.
After
but
cold
it's not ice cold. Because I've done like a true cold plunge. That's
it's not
like
ice cold,
40
but it's cold.
degrees
Right.
And that would I can't put my fingers in it even because it's so cold.
If you have this ice cold water, then you need only 2 minutes.
Okay.
2 minutes.
Gotcha.
But otherwise cold is between 18 to 20 minutes.
Gotcha.
And so then I go into hot shower for just 30 seconds to warm up.
Yeah.
And then pretty much the morning routine is complete.
And what time is it at this point?
At this point, it's 7:30.
Wow.
And then I start making pancakes, waking up our son, cooking breakfast, and getting ready to drive him to school.
Yeah. You have one child?
One son, yes. Yes.
Okay. What is his name?
Alec.
Alec.
Yes.
Wow. So your husband, is he also from Russia or?
He's from Kazakhstan, but we speak Russian.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so tell me how you got into your relationship coach, and you get most of your clients through word of mouth, through online, but you used to be a hypnotherapist.
Yeah, I was 21 years hypnotherapist and a life coach and counselor. But I've noticed that as I was working, I had so many people with serious relationship and marital problems. And most of their anxiety, because I was helping people mainly with anxiety and depression, low self-esteem and things like that. But I've noticed their problems, majority of the time, is because they have awful relationship with their partners, their family members, and with their kids. And I've noticed the problem between them and their husbands is this lack of understanding. What is a wife's duty? What is the husband's duty? Because both going to work, they come home and they're just battling each other because they're exhausted, stressed out. And then this balance between a husband and a wife is fully missing.
Yeah.
And so even though I was helping them as a hypnotherapist, as a counselor, I realized that I'm teaching them a lot about their duties, about the boundaries and things like that.
Okay, I have so many questions.
Yes.
Well, first of all, how did you get into being a hypnotherapist? Like if you go way back 22 years ago or before, what led you to wanting to do that?
Oh, that's an interesting question. My mother decided that we need to move to the United States.
Okay.
But I was not interested in it. But I was a minor. I was only 17 and a half, so I didn't have a chance to say that, no, I don't want to go. And I was in dancing school. Ballet was my minor, folk dancing was my major. And so I was very popular. I was dancing in 3 different teams.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, my mother takes me literally, shuttles me into the airplane, and we're coming to the United States.
Wow.
Where I don't speak a language. I don't know anybody. Different customs, different traditions, different language, different everything. So I felt like I landed on the planet Mars, literally. And so because I didn't have a language, friends, community, relatives, I started gaining weight really drastically. And in 2 years, I've gained 6 sizes.
And how old are you then?
And I was 18 and a half.
Okay.
And then...
And where in the United States did you
we lived in Philly, and then we moved to Atlanta.
Wow.
Yeah. And so my self-esteem was crushed. I was very depressed. I was very anxious. And I started doing the diets, exercises. I tried the Jenny Craig and everything. But nothing was working until I found the Russian hypnotherapist who helped me to lose weight. And that's how I got into hypnotherapy. First, I was helping people with weight loss, quit smoking. But then after a while, I realized I want to help them with a root problem. Why they are overeating is because they're anxious, depressed, and have low self-esteem. And that's how my journey as a hypnotherapist began.
And so did you go to school for that, or was there I don't even know, what's the training curriculum?
Yes, I actually went to school in Russia because everything that I studied here was very surface level. And so I studied in Russia. well, I continue to study all the time. It's kind of a habit at this point. And I studied in India and I studied in China. And so different modalities, different techniques I was using as a hypnotherapist. And it was very fascinating. But in 2020, everything changed because, first of all, as I got married, I realized that I cannot work as I used to. Because as my income was going higher and higher, I was becoming more and more masculine. And the more masculine I was, even before I met my husband, I realized that most of the men are intimidated by me because of the high income, success, and all of the energy that I had around me and my aura. And so I started to notice that why some women who are less attractive, who are not successful back then, why they're in a relationship and happy, and some of my girlfriends who are very pretty like models and me are single, and we're attracting kind of a feminine men who are not even paying for our drinks or lunches or dinners. And I was so frustrated, and I started slowly studying this feminine and masculine dynamic from some of the Russian coaches. And the more I was studying, the more I realized that studying got me some skills, some knowledge, but it was not enough. I was still in my masculine. And that's when I started to notice that some of the spiritual gurus were coming up on my YouTube, and I started listening to them. And I thought, okay, I've tried everything, but I'm still single. I'm still not happy being single. And I started to do affirmations. Then I started doing a prayer. And next thing, I attracted my husband. We met, we got married, and I realized that at this point, I don't want to work 20, 30, 40 hours a week. I started decreasing my hours. And as I was decreasing my hours, I became more softer, more gentle, more feminine, more compassionate. And next thing, we got married. I had our son, and things started to work. Finally, because I was on my spiritual path, I finally started to lose this layer of masculinity that not coaching or therapy actually helped.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's been, at least on my social media, it must be the algorithm or the community that I'm in. I'm getting a lot of content now that, and I've myself even created posts similar because I do relate to this, talking about girls being in they're trying to get into their soft era or soft girl era. And they're talking about releasing masculine energy, stepping into their feminine energy. And it's very interesting. And also, I've seen content from women, for example, in the Mormon religion, who were taught that their life's purpose is to find a man and to get married. And then they got married, and then the man left them or cheated on them, and they had never gone to school for anything. They had no career, they have no money, and then they are 45 years old and they have nothing. They just have kids and no money, and they're really upset and frustrated. So where is the balance between being vulnerable and being feminine, and then but also protecting yourself and making sure that you're not going to end up in a situation that you regret?
This is a really great question, because I see women who are struggling. Some of them are so naive, and in this naiveness, they are become victims in the relationship, and that's what I see. Women who are really very, very religious. And when I'm talking about relationship with Creator and my spiritual journey, I don't go to church. I don't go to temple. I don't go to mosque. I don't go anywhere, even though I do go sometimes to the retreats to my spiritual guru. But it's my relationship to Creator. And I feel His support 100%. Even if my husband right now makes zero income.
Really?
Yes, I don't take clients. Sometimes I made retreats. Sometimes I lead programs and actually donated to kids in South Africa because my husband supports me. I don't really need income.
I thought you were saying your husband makes zero income.
No, I make zero income. My husband makes money. Yeah, me. I'm not making money. Sorry. Yeah. Husband provides 100%.
That's good. I have questions about that too, but continue.
But If, let's say, hypothetically, my husband decides to divorce me or we go separate ways,
Yes.
I know 100% that I will be fine.
Yeah.
Because I have this 100% certainty, because I have a relationship with Creator. He will take care of me. And in the process, right now, the money that I make, I donate. I wouldn't be donating.
Right.
I will be using it towards me.
But also you had those years of being
Yes.
in your masculine,
Yes.
where you were focused on your career,
Yes.
and you went to school and you worked hard, and
Yes.
so you could always fall back on
Yes.
that. But
Yes.
what if you had discovered this feminine
Yes.
energy, or stepped into your feminine much sooner? Like, what if you never went through that phase that you're talking about? Then do you think you would still be okay?
The way I look at life now, because I'm in so much in my feminine, honestly, sometimes I don't know how to turn on the internet. If it shuts down, I'm like, honey, can you please turn on the internet? I don't know how to do that. Or, honey, I don't know how these wires work. How do I need to transfer this to this? Everything is hubby, who helps 100% with everything. I don't even know how women stay single, honestly, at this point. But if going back to the women who brought up in the spiritual community, let's say Christian community or Muslim community, a woman gotta be protected by her father. When father protects her at home, she feels, and she continues to stay in her feminine energy. She has the roof over her head, there's food, there's shelter. He protects her until he finds her man, or she finds a man, she gets married, and she's under protection of a husband. If something happens and husband leaves, she goes back to the protection of a father.
What if her father's dead?
Or a brother.
Okay.
If
What if she doesn't have a brother?
Well, in the reality, there has to be some kind of uncle, brother, or a husband figure. It's not like that in the United States, because we're a very individualistic country here.
I was going to say, because my father's still around, but maybe, I don't know, hypothetically, I could marry a man and I could work from, or I could be a stay-at-home mom and stop working, or I don't know. That's not my plan, by the way. But if it did happen, and my father had passed away, I'm an only child. I actually have very little family. Uncles on both sides of the family aren't really in my life. Some of them are off doing bad things. Some of them have died. They're just not around. So I don't know.
And again, in the Western Europe and in the United States, this is not the way we're brought up. This is not the way things work. And so a lot of women feel like, okay, who do I turn to? And then in this case, woman knows deep in her heart what is her passion. And she can, I am not saying, even though I'm feminine and I am 100% under husband's protection, but I'm passionate about sharing my knowledge. Even though I make little money that I donate, but I know what the message I can share. And every woman has her skill. Every woman
has her gift.
Has her gift. And she can use this gift, because we usually thought in the modern society that you have to get a degree. Yes, I got 3 degrees, but oh my God, what it cost me, my health. Working all this year, being in masculine energy, it cost me health. I deteriorated my back. I deteriorated my neck. I deteriorated my sleep, insomnia, and oh my God, so much.
The fluorescent lights, being inside, the long hours, it's not. Yes, I relate to that a lot. When I was in college, I went to UC Berkeley, and it was very competitive. And I actually graduated early one semester because I just wanted to leave that place. I hated this. It felt like being in jail or something.
Absolutely.
Like, it really was terrible.
And it feels like it. And that's why when I'm talking to our son, who is 9.5, he's like, I don't know why I'm going to school. Even though it's the best school in Johns Creek, and I went through 22 private schools, and this was the best school, he's still bored. And I get it. I'm like, it looks, even though it's a good school, it's look like a fancier prison, and kids are bored. And so I think every one of us knows what we're passionate about, and maybe we can just pursue that and maybe learn that for a year or 2, because he's already expert in video gaming, and he wins championships as a 9.5-year-old, and he has 20,000 followers, and some of his videos been viewed 20 million. Wow. And he's 9.5.
Wow.
And he's a blogger.
That's amazing.
Exactly. And so each one of us has this, but we've been suppressed by the education system. Now you have to learn all the subjects. Why?
Yeah.
If you're passionate about history, learn history.
Yeah.
If you're passionate about math, learn math.
Yeah.
You don't need to pass all of these exams.
Right.
Who are you proving?
No, it's terrible. So I think at least I feel a bit confused, and maybe since I feel that way, I would imagine I'm not the only one, because like I said, on the one hand, there's a lot of content coming my way about women softening, stepping into their feminine. And then I see this video of this woman who was just crying about how her husband cheated on her, and now he's not paying life support, and she has no money to pay the bills, and she's stuck with these kids, and she didn't get a degree. But you're saying that she's in this victim mentality. And if you are in that mentality, then that's all you'll get.
Absolutely. And it's going to sound really harsh, and I apologize,
it's okay.
For
I'm
some
here
of the
for
women.
I like to shock people.
I remember when I was in verbally abusive relationship in my early 20s. If I didn't go through that abusive relationship, I wouldn't be who I am now. And so even though some of these women go through verbal, emotional, or physical abuse and they're victims, they're getting something out of it.
Yeah.
And that's why proper dating is so important, because the red flags were there that he was an abuser on the second, third, and fourth and fifth date.
Or the first.
Or on the first.
Yeah.
But because women have low self-esteem, they've been in either toxic environment in their childhood, or they were neglected as children, or they were in an abusive, environment at home. Now to them, it's a comfort zone to attract an abuser. And then she continues to play a victim. How can I divorce? How I'm gonna work? How I'm gonna support my 3 children? But she's getting something out of it. She wants to continue to stay a victim. And I get that. Maybe some of you don't have money to find a therapist, but I promise you, even if you will find 5 to 15 minutes in the morning to start spiritual journey, you'll find the strength, not by yourself, with Creator's help, to start exiting this toxic or abusive relationship.
I love that video you have where you're like, who's the perfect partner for you? It's the person you're with right now.
Exactly.
And I think some people who are in a bad relationship will get so offended watching that. But then you go on to explain that whoever you're with right now is the perfect match for you, because you are, in some way, you're allowing it, or you're on that level, you're matching their energy, and only when you change, then you deserve something different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
However your vibration is, you're attracting the same vibration to you. As you're going to start increasing your vibration, working on yourself, as you're increasing your self-esteem, you're not going to attract an abuser, whether he's verbally, emotionally, or physically or sexually abusing a woman. So we, at the end of the day, responsible to who we're with, because if we don't love ourselves, that's when we're attracting a person who will push us, hurt us, mentally, emotionally, physically. But when we're investing time, energy, and I would say really money, because yes, some of you have to exercise, some of you have to eat healthy, some need to go to therapy, and some definitely have to start spiritual journey. The more you invest in you, the better result you'll get. And it's a lifetime journey. It's not like, 1-2 months and I'm going to be feminine in order to attract a masculine man who will provide and lead and protect me. That doesn't happen. Everybody wants quick results, but I say, only cats give quickly birth, but everything else takes time. And so a lot of women I see also collapsing femininity with sexy. But it's not sexy. You can get men in bed, but he will not lead, provide, and protect you. in order for a man to lead, provide, and protect you, he has to see values and principles of a femininity. And the feminine woman, I think at the core, what I'm discovering now, she's really spiritual. That core of confidence and certainty cannot come from by herself, just by looking good and things like that. It only comes with a deep relationship to Creator.
And don't they say at least in some of the spiritual books I've read, feminine is the master of the internal, the emotional world, the spiritual realm, and then masculine is the master of the physical world. So they're more connected to physical things, and we're more connected to emotional things that are still real, but just on like a different level.
I've noticed the more I was shifting to femininity, the more my husband's income was going higher.
Wow.
It's just, I'm getting the goosebumps as I'm talking about it. My husband is like, the less you work, the more money I make, can you quit? I'm like, I'm not ready yet, I'm not ready. And in 2020, I fully quit my practice.
Wow.
And his income, not double, it tripled by the end of the year.
Wow.
And so we are holding the success of our man. And if a woman who is truly feminine, she believes in her man, she's very encouraging of her man. And when a man feels that she trusts him, believes in him, that is such a huge drive for him to succeed in life. Because the Harvard University did the research. They asked 3 wives of 3 CEOs of the large companies, and 2 wives that were very proud and believed in their man. When they asked the employees of that man, they felt the same way towards the CEO. They respected him, trusted him and his leadership, because wives felt the same way towards their husbands. And one CEO and wife hated him. She could not stand him. She couldn't wait to divorce him. All of the employees hated him as well.
Interesting. So I have a family friend who's a stay-at-home mom. Now, my parents, they both worked. But I did grow up with a lot of my friends whose moms were stay-at-home moms. And I always really envied, this is getting sidetracked, but I really envied the children who had parents where the mom or one of the parents was stay-at-home. Specifically the mom, though. Like, I kind of always wanted my mommy to pack my lunch and be more like present and more, well, she was present, but just she couldn't be very motherly because she was going to work. And so but that begs the question. I have a friend who's actually married to a CEO. She's got children now in high school, and she comes to me to talk about her feelings of, she has a lot of anxiety. She wants to go back to work, but the husband doesn't necessarily need her to. And it's it's a challenge for them, because he sort of still wants her to be around. The kids are older, but they want to take care of them. But she feels this need, like she needs to have a purpose. She needs more purpose than just taking care of her kids now. So what is that?
And I could fully relate, because last year I felt a calling to start sharing even more my knowledge, because our son now is 9.5. As he gets older, he needs less and less of me. And I feel the calling to share. And if a husband doesn't allow his wife to pursue what she's passionate about, but again, I agree that if a woman works full-time, she deteriorates on emotional and physical level, and that's where anxiety and depression and stress kicks in and destroys her. But if a woman works only 2-3 hours, not because she has to, but because she wants to, and not because she needs to make money, but because she has a calling to make a difference, to help maybe cats, maybe dogs, maybe children, maybe research, maybe scientists, whatever. She gotta pursue that, because otherwise she's kind of under the lead, and sooner or later that volcano gonna explode. And so that is kind of selfish on the husband side. And my husband's like, oh, you want to do retreat? I'm like, please, will you let me go for a week to retreat? He's like, I'll go, because I'm getting ready for the 3rd retreat this year.
So what's happening if you like take a step back and look at society from a bird's eye view?
Yeah.
I feel that we had this feminine movement or feminist movement.
Yes.
And it was like men and women are equal, and women, we should close the pay gap. And then a lot of men, at least how I feel, a lot of men started saying, okay, well then we're going to be equal partners in parenting. We're going to, if we make the same amount of money or almost the same amount of money, then we're going to split the costs equally and all of that. And are we now on the brink of like people or society kind of going backwards? And then how does that play into like the United States versus other countries?
I think we are evolving because equality and this partnership, I think it just was a biggest disaster and feministic move.
Wow.
Because what it created, a lot of masculine women who went to work, and what I've noticed, not anywhere else in the world, a woman, a mother, leaves a baby at 3 months old at the daycare. And so basically strangers are raising the children. And so the bond between mom and a son or a daughter, a child, is already divided. And then she complains why they didn't change on-time diaper, because they get paid $10 an hour. It is your duty to raise kids. And then they're surprised why my child has ADD. ADHD or anxiety or depression, because strangers 8 hours were raising your children because you were making money. And using this money, you were paying the babysitters or the strangers in daycare. And men by default, because women gone to masculine energy, they became so feminine. I remember when I was single, I was dating guys. And one time I saw a guy in front of the mirror who was putting the gel and making his hair so straight and so perfect. He was in front of the mirror for 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes I see men who are putting concealer. Sometimes I see men now who are using foundation. Sometimes I see men who have more bracelets than I ever had in my life. And they have so many necklaces and they're into fashion. And this is what it gone to. More men are now feminine, and there's more women are now masculine, and women are complaining why he's not providing, why he's not protecting. He doesn't even want to pay 50%. Well, because he's now so feminine. And who created this is by women who wanted to have equality.
No, I find this so interesting because I see a lot of TikTok videos and Instagram reels. It's like girls saying, "Oh, if he doesn't pay for the first date, then I'm out," and they're looking for a man who will provide, but then they also want to be equal. And then I don't know, the comments are just crazy. People are really up in arms about this.
But when a woman demands that he has to pay, it's a very masculine trait. No man has to pay. He can pay, but who can he pay for is someone that makes him feel good, that he really feels next to this woman, a masculine man. Because when I walk into the store sometimes, to the restaurant, my husband opens the door always. But sometimes he parks the car, and as I'm walking, a man opens the door and say, "Thank you so much." And the man look at me, it's like, "You're the first woman who thanked me for opening the door."
Wow.
I'm like, wow, men are so suppressed.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I'm walking in the Whole Foods and I'm buying, and I have 2 heavy bags, and I've noticed men always ask me, "Do you want me to help you with?" I'm like, "Would you please?" And then they say, "You're the first woman who allowed me and helped me." And this is the traits of a feminine woman. She's receptive.
No, that's interesting, because if I were in a store, this has probably happened to me, and if some stranger man asks to help me, I would probably say no.
Exactly.
I'd be really protective, and I would be offended.
Exactly.
I can do this myself.
And that's what I'm talking about. Women are so closed off to compliments, to a man opening the door, a man helping out, but this is all traits of feminine women.
But some men are creepy.
Well, and you also feel the energy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if you feel like he's creepy,
Yeah.
you will decline saying, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I usually don't get those.
Right, right. Okay, so how, I want to talk about...
But do you mind if I'll go back to a partnership for a moment? Because partnership at the core, if we really think about it, that a man and a woman divides everything by 50-50. Let's say you and your boyfriend live, and he pays 50% for mortgage, you pay 50%, you pay 50% for electricity, and he does.
Yeah.
But when you get pregnant, and when you do the birth, the delivery, and then you're breastfeeding, and then you're not sleeping at night, the true partnership should be that the next child he gives the birth to, he does the delivery, he does the breastfeeding, and wakes up at night and does the diaper changes and everything else. That would be the true 50-50.
Yeah.
But in this scenario, a woman goes to work, and then she comes home and she still takes care of the baby. She still cooks. She still does the laundry. And so she has 2 jobs. And how is that partnership?
Yeah.
It's not a partnership. And so I believe in United States especially and Western Europe, people just collapsed and confused the roles of a man and a woman, because there is no partnership until a man can give birth to kids. And 2 kids you give birth to, and he does the 2 other kids. There is no partnership.
Yeah, because even if it's sharing responsibility once the baby is born, like switching off who changes the diaper, there's no, you can't equate to the
But you know
caring.
what, once you have a baby, first 2 years, babies don't even care about that. Do you know that?
No, I don't know, because I don't have a baby.
Exactly. They want to smell you. As soon as you hold them, they come down, because your breast milk, it's like the best golden immune golden milk that you can give them. They want you. Until they're 3, father is not really that important. At 3, you start to play around, they crawl, they run around. That's when fathers are more important. But until 3, it's your time with the baby. And that's when he needs to especially provide, lead, and protect, so you can be the best quality mom and raise a healthy and happy and confident child.
Wow. So I want to talk about sex.
Okay.
Because you mentioned it, and I've seen some of your videos. And again, the feminist movement was like, women should be able to have as many sexual partners as men. We shouldn't be called whores. We shouldn't be called sluts just because we can have sex just as much as men have sex and whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, I believe man and woman wired differently.
Yeah.
We walk differently, we breathe differently, we think about sex differently, we date differently, we work differently, we have different energy, different vibration, everything about us is different.
I try to tell my boyfriend sex for me is about connection, and he laughs his ass off. He's like, connection? To him, it's like a primal thing.
Absolutely.
And to me, it's much more about bonding.
Exactly, because for a man, sex is like having a dinner, going to sleep, and working out.
Yeah, it's
just
a need.
Like a need. It's a need.
Weird.
But for us women, exactly, it's about connection. It's about bonding. It's about, and so how men view sex and how women view sex is completely different. Right. And if a woman is dating a man and she starts sleeping with him because he's horny and maybe she wants to, right? Yeah. She enters the relationship in a scenario, it's a script, man's script. And how men view sex is like a porn. It's a physical, it's harsh. You start with having sex, when the intercourse is done and men came, the video ended. Yeah. Right. And a woman, when she's dating a man by his rules, by starting the relationship and having sex in the first stage of the relationship, when he's just hot about her, he doesn't care about her. Because a man falls in love in 3 to 5 months until he gets to exclusive relationship. The more he conquers her, the more he invests energy, time, and energy, the more he starts to appreciate her. So imagine a man who has a Ferrari. It took him time to really build his wealth. And now he finally bought his Ferrari. How he takes care of this Ferrari? It's not parked outside, it's in a garage. How he cleans the leather with the special fabric, with the special something, right? How he changes the oil, how much it takes to change the oil. He invested his energy, time, and money. He has a special place for his Ferrari. And the same way with a woman. If he loves his woman, he invests more, the time, energy, and money. And then he values it because he finally, after 6 months, got her. And he could share to the whole world, I'm finally marrying this woman, or I'm getting engaged. Because she was so not easy.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you get it?
No, I do. I get it. But it's not what I was brought up to think. I was brought up I was born in 1996, and by the time I was a teenager and of age to start having sex or whatever was normal when I was in high school, most of the line of thinking around and in my community was, don't be afraid to be slut shamed, have as much sex as you want, and you can move from one to the other, and you can just kind of be the same like men are if you want. And that worked for me for a while. But I was very inside of myself. I was very harsh with myself on everything. Everything was productivity. I had to get my degree. I had to get a good job. I had to succeed. I had to make my own money. This is kind of how I was brought up to think about my life. I needed to provide for myself, and falling in love was not really a priority. Finding a man was not a priority. So I treated sex like it was like as if I was a man.
Like having a dinner. Because we brought up in a masculine world, and feminine energy been so suppressed for so long. And even though when we're talking about 50s or 60s, even though some were feminine, they were still suppressed because men would, if we're talking about those Christian women that you brought up, right? They did not value that femininity.
I said Mormon, but I know a lot of I know a lot of Christians.
Exactly.
Not but that there's anything wrong with that. But
yes, but a lot of people did not value that femininity. A lot of men, and that's why women rebelled. And now I think where we should be heading. Because I feel like at this point between my husband and I, we even outgrew the feminine and masculine. Because at this point I feel like my calling is to make a difference. It's not about making money. I just feel the calling, and he supports 100%. Because if I would be in a traditional wife and a mother, I wouldn't be working at all. But following your soul calling, I think it's heading to the direction where, again, man knows his duty, a woman knows her duty, a husband and wife, but at the same time, supporting one another and not putting ourselves into the box. It's just, this is exactly what you should do, or this is exactly what you should do. But we should, at the same time, have a formula for dating. Because if we don't have a formula for dating, and if we're just sleeping around, women are still going to be judged. No matter how much we are thinking we can be like a man, a man will still think of a woman who sleeps around, she's a slut at the end of the day.
So a friend of mine who had a terrible ex-boyfriend said that he would talk about this lock and key analogy. Like a key that can open many locks is a great key. That would be the man. And a lock that can be opened by many keys is a bad lock. Which was like a terrible thing for him to say to her, because he was obviously just being abusive and being like really mean and nasty and trying to make her feel bad. And they were dating, and so that was horrible. But anyways, it's an interesting analogy. So we talked about how women have their unique gift, or the feminine has a gift. What is the masculine gift, and how does a man, if there are men listening to this, how would they find their masculine gift or step into their more masculine?
I would not even call it a gift, because boys are not born masculine.
Okay.
Men have to conquer things, overcome challenges, and that's when they become manly, masculine. Because now I see a lot of men who are like, oh, I don't like this job, I'll just quit.
Yeah.
I don't like doing this, I'll just quit. And they're like, all of this is feminine traits.
Yeah.
No, you have to go through the hardship in order to succeed. Because again, girls born feminine, and a family have to preserve her femininity.
So it really is more like a gift, like it came to her.
Yeah, when a woman is born, she's already closer to creator. The more she works, the more she tries to succeed, the more she degrades to masculine energy.
Wow.
Because let's say, for example, you achieve your goal. You made, let's say, $500,000 in 20 years. That was your goal. Do you think that will make you feel fulfilled?
No.
Absolutely not. If you had a goal to marry and have a family, and now you succeed, and you have a really warm, happy, connected family, how do you feel?
Hopefully good.
Fulfilled.
Yeah.
Because what a feminine woman at the core, she's all about connecting. She's all about the aura of happiness and energy and the flow, and not the goals and constantly achieving them, because the more she achieves the goals, the more she degrades to masculine energy.
Okay.
But for boys, they're born as they achieve. Somebody punched them, they went to karate, now they know how to punch back and become strong, which is missing right now in the Western Europe and America. He becomes stronger so he can defend. And the more he achieves things, he got fired from this job, now he got more education, now he makes more income, the more he feels higher self-esteem and confident that he now can provide, lead, and protect a family.
Okay.
And if he doesn't do that, he's just not, we call it in Russian, not chicken, not beef, something in between.
So like with parenting,
Yes.
I guess, like how do you parent your son to be this way? Like, do you not coddle him?
This is great. A single mom cannot raise a masculine man. Even if you have horrible relationship with ex, you gotta do everything to have peaceful, kind relationship with ex, because a boy can be raised masculine only by example. For example,
What if the ex is a bad example? So you got to find a different
well,
uncle
maybe
or something.
it could be
A role
uncle
model.
or grandfather or
Teacher.
father or teacher,
Yeah.
tennis teacher, karate teacher,
Yeah.
some kind of trainer who is a positive influence, who is masculine in nature and can teach a child what is the role. And so sometimes hobby would kind of not punish, discipline. We're not punishing, he's disciplining our son, and I'm like, as a mom, like, oh, I want to protect, but I know I can't. Because boys sometimes need this discipline. And then afterwards, maybe at night, he start complaining to me, and I say, I know. But during the process, I cannot intervene and do lovey-dovey. I allow hobby to discipline him. Yeah, there's no iPad for 2 weeks. You know? It is what it is.
Wow.
You know, there's consequences. There's a discipline.
I was raised with a lot of consequences and a lot of discipline and a lot of rules, but I think that's important for both.
It is important, but not
men
too
and women.
many. Not too many, but we have some set. Yeah, for sure. But rules and again, I would not say that we're very disciplinary. Our son is so laid back, so happy in things.
Okay, what about when he gets older, or not even about your son personally, but in general, when child gets older and they start to be able to provide for themselves, where do you draw the line in supporting them? Like, you know, after college, they want to move back in because they don't know what job they want to do, or they want to follow their goals, or do you nurture them, or do you put them out and say, nope, you have to figure it out yourself?
I would say that a daughter should definitely be under the protection. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether she's 20 or 25. She should stay home until she's comfortable, because I don't think a girl in 20 or 25 should be goal-oriented, career-oriented, so she can provide for herself. Yeah.
That's probably a controversial opinion.
Yeah, I totally get that because again, I am streaming against how you call it?
Swimming upstream.
Swimming, exactly, upstream because again, when a woman puts all of her energy into studying, for example, being a doctor or being a lawyer, her prime years, 10 years, she's in school studying. Then she has to work hard to pay off her loans. And then when will she actually go relaxed in feminine energy and meet this provider masculine man? She will not. She's only gonna protect meet feminine man who she will protect.
Yeah. And so what about for a man then? What if the man grew up with whose parents have so much money, they're very wealthy,
and that's how
the parents decide to provide while he's going back to school or changing his career? Is that gonna...
I get it, and I think this is the worst thing parents can do to a son. That's how man becomes degraded. Mama's boy, daddy's boy. No, a man has to survive. It's okay if you're gonna get a roommate and they live in a studio or a one-bedroom apartment, one sleeps in the living room and one in the bedroom. He has to toughen up and figure it out. Because the moment a mama or a daddy start giving him money so he can pay for his college and buy him a condo or townhome or the house, he not gonna have energy to succeed. That's how parents are helping a boy to degrade. I remember 5 years ago I said to hubby, honey, what do you think? The real estate going so high. Maybe we should buy a condo to our son. So when he grows up, he can just live in a condo. And then as soon as I said it, I'm like, oh my God, what am I saying? And then hubby's saying, absolutely not. He gonna work harder and he gonna purchase it himself. And I was like, I agree.
Okay, so that's so interesting because my parents were in the reverse. Like my dad wanted to buy me a car when I turned 16. My mom said, absolutely not.
Masculine mom. Yeah. And daddy should have done it.
I love my mom.
Yeah.
But my parents were a little bit
opposite. Yeah.
So is there anything that I didn't ask you yet that you wanted to talk about?
Oh, that's a good question.
If not,
I do have a question. Why do you think women are so not masculine in there are obviously a lot of women who are masculine, but why they're so attached to the fitness and going to the gym and using all of the dumbbells and working? Because one of your videos triggered me and I'm thinking, like, why would you lift such a heavy weight? Like,
oh my
a
gosh,
lot of
what
women
an
do
interesting
that. Like,
topic.
Yeah, like, why would women do that?
Okay, that is gonna stump me a little bit, but I mean, I'll explain my journey with fitness. When I was 14, I was never actually good at any sports. So my parents got me, or my dad, he tried to bring me to different sports, but I would quit every single one. I wasn't coordinated. I wasn't making the teams. I was not making the auditions or the tryouts or whatever. So I was just a weird kid in high school that didn't play any sports. And my high school was very sports oriented. And there was actually this boy that I liked who didn't like me back. And then he started dating a cheerleader. And she had this like body. And I was like, I'm going to have that body. And so I started to work out on my own time. But I was like 14 or 15 at the time. So pretty young. And I found all these workout videos on YouTube.
Yes.
And they were really like intense and hard, and I was just killing myself, and I actually developed an eating disorder, and I had anorexia, and I was very, very thin and then I took, many years kind of went downhill and then came back up. And then, but I couldn't let go of the fitness. I don't know, I felt, and I still, I feel this, I guess it's a desire to, I guess it's vain, like to look a certain way. I like my body a certain way, and I will say we do yoga. Me and my boyfriend, we go to yoga almost 5 or 6 days a week, and that is not really for fitness. That is more for the meditation, for the stretching. It's really to feel good, to feel better. But then a couple times a week, I lift weights, and that is all for appearance.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
you know, I mean, I don't know if I would feel better if I stopped or if it's not good for me. I really don't, I will say I don't enjoy lifting weights. And my boyfriend, he seems to enjoy it more.
Yeah.
I've never enjoyed it, but it's something I feel like I have to do. And then I dance. Actually, I do pole dancing as a sport, which
I actually
I've
saw
done
your
since
video.
I was
That's
17.
beautiful. Yeah.
And there's a studio here in Atlanta. But that is for fun. And it's also very, very hard. So my arms get very strong from that. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting that you say it's triggering. It's almost triggering to me too when I see other girls lifting weights, because like I feel like it looks painful and it looks uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then now hearing you say that my weightlifting video was triggering to you, I'm actually so fascinated by that. Like so how is it then? Because I do think fitness is just a huge thing. It's just girls lifting weights and going to Pilates and having these abs and being like just super fit. It's a lifestyle that's really popular right now.
I know, and I see that Kardashians have huge role into it. It's not just fitness, but it's also plastic surgeries.
Oh yeah, well they have these huge fake butts and these fake hips and fake boobs,
but also a lot of celebrities are into fitness. But a soft feminine woman, I believe that gyms are for masculine men. And for men in general,
are for masculine men?
Gyms are for men, because seeing women lifting weights is just so natural. Because I get that right now we have magazines and all the celebrities with their perfect bodies, but if a man, a masculine man, had to choose between this perfect woman who is in her masculine energy, but a feminine woman that is maybe 10 pounds overweight, guess who he would choose? Do you get that?
Yeah.
And so women have to detach from this perfectionism. I used to try to keep up with this, but the more I start shifting to femininity, by the way, I do yoga as well after meditation, I forgot to mention. But all of this weight lifts when I stopped doing it. And I used to do that maybe 15 years ago. Wow. It was such a relief to just fully surrender and accept my body.
Yeah.
And of course, after being a mom, you cannot keep up with the same weight. And I'm like, okay, I'm just eating healthy. Yeah. I do what I can, but I get that I'm not going to be size 4 anymore.
Yeah. Well, so first of all, I feel that I've made progress. I was doing a lot more exercise.
Yes.
If you would have met me 2 or 3 years ago, I wasn't doing yoga, and every day I was doing some kind of hard workout every day.
Yes.
And it was like cardio and sweating. And now I'm just doing yoga, and then I'm lifting weights maybe 1 or 2 times per week.
Yeah.
And so I've dialed it back a lot. Yeah. And I feel a lot better, and I'm a lot happier, and I'm a lot less anxious and stressed out. But I don't know if, I have a thin build. This is kind of like, I'm not going to really ever get big with lifting weights, because it's actually just genetically, it's really hard for me to put on muscle. Yeah. So it's not like I'm going to become like this big like bodybuilder, but I don't know. I don't know. Fitness is just, it's so popular. So what, like you're running, you're doing yoga, you're eating healthy, and you look great. So like, what is the balance?
I like sweets.
Yeah.
If I didn't like sweets, I probably would be in much better shape. But again, I think women, especially in their 20s and 30s, what I recommend, feminine women do dancing, do walking, do running, do hiking. Yeah. things
Those are
outside
my
of
favorite.
the gym.
Those are my favorite things to do.
Otherwise, we're moving from box to box, and everything in the gym, those machineries, it's again subconsciously. It's like I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
I gotta get to this perfection, to this body.
Yeah.
How Jones this look like, and we just gotta let go. Because I say to a feminine woman, how to stay in femininity is through spirituality. And how is it through spirituality? Either meditation, prayer, or affirmation. Being on the nature is number 2, because people are running or walking with their AirPods. No, you gotta listen to the birds. You gotta listen to the wind and connect to the nature. Look at the sky. Look at the birds. Hear the trees moving. This is the second way to continue to stay in the feminine flow. And number 3, staying connected to feminine women, which are only 10%. Especially in the United States. If you go to India, if you go to Middle East, if you go to Africa, there's much more. But in the Western Europe, especially in the United States, there's probably around only 10% of feminine women. And feminine women, again, are not attached to the results. Results in the body, finances, career, success, things like that.
Yeah.
Detaching. The more you're detaching, the more you're surrendering, the more you're in acceptance. And through spiritual practices, you get to the acceptance and flowing.
That's so
what
beautiful.
I have is perfect. Yes, I'm in my age and I accept my body. Perfect it is.
See, that sounds very intriguing to me.
Yeah.
But if a guy that I was dating
Yeah.
was like, I just want to surrender and accept how my body would look, I would hate that.
Yes, because it's a feminine energy.
It's disgusting.
Yes, it's a feminine flow. But for a man, he has to go to the gym because he needs his endorphins. He needs to protect you in case if something happens. It's a very masculine to go to the gym or run or weight lifts. When my husband is in the gym, I'm doing my yoga and he does his weights. I'm like, oh, great, I love it.
Yeah.
It's sexy,
Yeah.
you know. When a man can lift the car, you know, change the tire, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But for us, you know, it's a different energy because we're again shifting to that masculine. And that's why there's duties. A woman does the curtains, design, cooks, clean dishes, and a man changes the oil. If he needs to care the toilet because you bought a new toilet or a bathtub upstairs, that's his duty. Or taking a heavy trash out. Otherwise, everything is washed off. What women are doing and what men are doing is now it's very unclear.
Yeah.
It's very confused. And that's why I see all of these women are lifting weights and I'm like, this looks very unnatural.
Well, you know why they're lifting weights? It's just because as someone that's in the fitness community, for a long time it was like women be skinny, we do cardio and we stay skinny and that's good enough. But then people realize that having muscle in your body burns fat. And so women want to be lean. And so they lift weights to keep the muscle so that their metabolism is fast, so that they're lean. That's kind of like the line of thinking. But what you're saying is they should stop worrying about being lean.
Exactly.
Okay.
I remember in my early 30s when I stopped going to the gym and I just focused on eating healthy. Because I've lost some weight by just eating healthy, all of my muscle and their form was just perfect without putting all of this energy and working out. And I was so exhausted, like doing this exercise. Because right now I'm running, but it's very slow.
Yeah.
It's just for me to get hot in order to get into the cold water.
Wow.
I don't have this attachment to how my body should look like.
That's amazing.
And
that's really beautiful. I mean, I commend you for that. I that would be like a next level thing for me if I could let go of that attachment, but I'm not sure if I'm not sure if I feel
not yet.
Not yet.
And it's
but
okay.
eventually. Anyways, gosh, I want to talk like forever to you. Like you have so much knowledge and we should save it for another podcast.
Actually, another thing that I wanted to add is that I'm heading to Turkey.
Oh, yeah.
In 4 weeks. And maybe some of you listeners who...
Although I think I have like 5 listeners. But
it's okay. But even though those 5. And I would like to invite you.
But maybe with this podcast we'll have 5,000.
Yeah, who knows? Who are interested to connect to their femininity, to enhance their femininity, to work on the how to learn to date properly a man, how to create a happy and lasting and harmonious relationship with a man. We're going to do all kinds of psychological and spiritual exercises in Turkey. We'll be in a small town that is 5,000 years old.
Wow.
And where Roman and Greek Empire
Yeah.
had the city of Olympus. And it's now almost halfway renovated.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Wow.
We will be going on excursions on the mountains, that on the top of the mountains you have natural fires, that even if you pour the water, it will still come back.
Wow.
And there's so much history.
Yeah.
And so we'll be doing everyday meditation, we'll be doing everyday yoga, we'll be having master classes every day, we'll be swimming on Mediterranean Sea, we'll be going into the caves.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be so
You need a tour. You need a proper someone like you who knows the area to be guided on such an adventure like that. You can't just go to Greece or Turkey or something and decide you want to see all the cool spots without a local who shows you around.
Yeah, it's very lovely. And actually would love to have you and your boyfriend if you decide to.
So boyfriends are invited as well?
Yes,
or
I already have one husband who is coming and one guy who is single, and I know him personally. He's from Atlanta, and so he's coming. I was planning to do it originally all in feminine energy, but then it will be great to have men's feedback. And so I decided to open it up for men, and men are interested and they're coming as well. But usually all the retreats are always 80% women and 20% men. Cool. But whoever is interested, they're welcome to come.
I'll put your social media and your links in the description of this, and they can
go and maybe you and your boyfriend decide to come, who knows? Yeah. The next one I'll have at the end of September, but this one is coming up in 4 weeks.
Wow.
May 19th.
Okay.
May 19th is around the corner.
Right. Yes. Well, thank you so much for being on.
Namaste.
This was awesome. I love it. Well, if you listened all the way through, thank you so much for being here. Let me know your thoughts on all of these topics. I found this conversation very eye-opening, as it was almost completely opposite as what I was raised to believe. But that's why I love the show. That's why I love bringing interesting people on with different perspectives. I think it's important that everybody listen to each other and understand where we're all coming from. I hope you leave this one a review, and I'll see you in the next episode.